Rare coin collecting. Discover real value and history in every coin.
The 1940s Jefferson Nickel may look like a simple old 5-cent coin, but don't be fooled. Some of these nickels have sold for $12,650, $22,000, and even over $45,000 at auction. That's right, a nickel from the 1940s could be worth more than a luxury watch today. Before we dive into the full story of this incredible coin, support our effort, subscribe, like, and share so we can continue bringing you more amazing coin videos and help you uncover hidden treasures waiting in your pocket change. The 1940s Jefferson Nickel was struck at the San Francisco Mint, identified by the small S mint mark on the reverse side, just to the right of Monticello. That year, more than 39 million nickels were produced at San Francisco, a huge number. But the secret to value lies not in how many were made, but in how few survived in pristine condition or with rare minting errors. The coin features Felix Schlag's iconic design, which first appeared in 1938. The obverse shows the profile of Thomas Jefferson, while the reverse depicts his home, Monticello, framed by the words E pluribus unum, United States of America, and the E denomination 5 cents. The composition of the 1940 nickel was the standard 75% copper and 25% nickel, and the coin weighs 5 grams. Now, here's where things get exciting. While most circulated 1940s nickels are only worth face value, high-grade and error examples are on another level entirely. Coins graded MS67, full steps, meaning all the steps on Monticello are perfectly visible and sharply struck, can bring jaw-dropping prices. In fact, one such 1940s nickel sold for $11,750, and another reached nearly $23,000 at auction. The reason? Perfectly struck full steps examples are extremely rare, especially from San Francisco, where dies often produce softer details due to wear and uneven pressure. Collectors prize these full steps nickels because they're proof of a flawless strike. No weak spots, no die erosion, just crisp detail. Out of millions minted, only a handful achieve that level of perfection. PCGS and NGC label these special coins with the FS designation, and that small detail can turn a $10 coin into one worth thousands. Then there are the mint error varieties that add even more excitement. The 1940s Jefferson Nickel is known for die cracks, off-center strikes, and even lamination errors, where the metal separates slightly on the surface. Depending on how dramatic the error is, values can range from $100 to over $1,000. One 1940s nickel with a 20% off-center strike sold for $850, and another with a massive die breakthrough. Jefferson's cheek fetched over $1,200. But perhaps the most stunning pieces are the proof-like and high-luster examples. Even though the 1940s was not officially a proof coin, some early strikes came out with mirror-like surfaces because they were struck from freshly polished dies. These semi-proof-like coins, especially in grades MS67 or MS68, can easily reach $2,000 to $4,000, depending on eye appeal. Beyond rarity and condition, the 1940s nickel carries deep historical charm. America was on the brink of entering World War II, and every coin from that era represents a piece of pre-war history. Just a couple of years later, the mint changed the nickel's composition to include silver due to metal shortages. So the 1940 issue marks one of the last pre-war nickels, struck in traditional copper-nickel alloy. For collectors, the hunt for the perfect 1940s nickel never ends. Here's what to look for if you have one. Check Monticello's steps. Can you count 5 or 6 full steps with no breaks? That's a big money sign. Look for strong details on Jefferson's hair, face, and the rim. Weak details usually mean an average strike. Inspect for errors, off-center designs, die cracks, or lamination flaws can all add value. Examine the surface. The fewer contact marks, the higher the grade, bright luster and minimal wear are key. Even circulated 1940s nickels in average condition can bring a few dollars, but in high mint state grades, prices climb fast. A beautiful MS65 full steps example can sell for $750 to $1,500. while an ultra-rare MS-67 full steps can go for $10,000 to $20,000 or more. The record holder, an MS-67 Plus full steps, sold for a staggering $45,600 at a heritage auction, one of the highest prices ever paid for a pre-war nickel. So, if you ever come across a 1940s Jefferson nickel in a collection, coin jar or old roll, don't dismiss it as small change. That tiny S mint mark could mean you're holding a forgotten gem from a turning point in history, a coin that might be worth thousands. Take a close look, check those steps, and remember, sometimes the smallest coins carry the biggest surprises. The 1940D Jefferson Nickel is one of those incredible coins that seem ordinary at first glance, until you realize some have sold for $8,000, $8,500, and even over $32,000 at major auctions. That's right, a simple 5-cent piece from the early 1940s can be worth more than a brand new car today. Before we dive into the story behind this valuable nickel, support our effort, subscribe, like, and share so we can keep bringing you more amazing coin videos and help you discover the hidden treasures waiting in your pocket change. Now let's rewind to 1940, a pivotal year in US history. The world was already at war, and while the United States hadn't yet joined, tensions were rising. The US Mint in Denver struck 43.5 million Jefferson nickels that year, all marked with a small D on the reverse to the right of Monticello. At first glance, the 1940 D seems common, but when it comes to coin collecting, the story always hides in the details, and that's where this nickel shines. The design, created by Felix Schlag, features the left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his Virginia home, Monticello, on the reverse. Each 1940D nickel was struck in the classic 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy weighing 5 grams. But not every coin came out perfectly, and the quality of the strike is what separates a $1 coin from a $30,000 one. Let's start with the most famous variety, the full steps designation. On the back of the coin, at the base of Monticello, you'll see a staircase. On most nickels, these steps are weak or partially flat because the dies were overused or misaligned. But on a few rare 1940D nickels, those steps are fully struck, clean, sharp, and complete from end to end. These are labeled as full steps, FS, by grading services like PCGS and NGC. Coins with full steps are extremely rare from the Denver Mint, and collectors pay huge premiums for them. For example, a 1940D nickel-graded MS-67 full steps sold for $8,025, while another graded MS-68 full steps shattered expectations at over $18,000. And the record holder, a spectacular MS-68 Plus full steps 1940D, fetched an incredible $30,900 at a heritage auction. But it's not just about perfect steps. Error coins from 1940D can also bring serious money. Some examples were struck off center, creating a crescent-shaped blank area on the coin's edge. Others have die cracks, cuts, or even lamination errors, where the coin's metal surface peeled or split slightly during minting. Depending on how dramatic the error is, values can range from $100 to over $2,000. Another fascinating variety to watch for is the doubled die, reverse or obverse doubling, where letters like Monticello or E pluribus unum appear slightly doubled. While subtle, these varieties can fetch $500 to $1,500 depending on clarity. The most dramatic ones, showing obvious doubling on the lettering or date, are highly sought after and can exceed $3,000 in high grades. For collectors chasing mint state examples, luster and surface preservation make a big difference. The Denver Mint in 1940 often produced coins with satiny or frosty finishes. A bright, lustrous 1940D nickel without contact marks or discoloration can easily reach MS-66 or higher grades, worth hundreds of dollars even without the full steps designation. Historically, the 1940D Jefferson nickel holds special significance. It was struck just before the US entered World War II, a year before. America shifted its economy toward wartime production. By 1942, the nickel's metal composition changed to include silver due to wartime shortages. That makes the 1940D one of the last pre-war, full nickel composition coins, a key piece of transition history in American coinage. If you're searching through old rolls or collections, here's what you should look for. The D mint mark on the reverse, right of Monticello. Full steps under Monticello. 5 or 6 clean, distinct steps. Strong detail on Jefferson's hair, cheek, and coat collar. Any doubling or die breaks, especially on the reverse lettering. Brilliant luster and minimal contact marks on both sides. Even circulated 1940D nickels with unique errors can sell for $50 to $200, and lightly circulated examples with strong detail can bring $20 to $75, but if you happen to find a crisp, high-grade, full steps example, you might be holding a coin worth thousands. So next time you come across an old Jefferson nickel, don't underestimate it, especially one from 1940 with a tiny D mint mark. That little letter could turn a 5-cent coin into a 5-figure treasure. Keep your eyes sharp, your magnifier handy, and remember, every coin tells a story, and some stories, like the 1940D Jefferson Nickel, are worth a fortune. The 1941S Jefferson Nickel might look like just another old 5-cent piece, but some rare examples have shocked collectors with prices reaching $7,800, $15,000, and even over $28,000 at auction. That's right, small, silver-grey coin from the world. War II era turned out to be a pocket-sized jackpot for those lucky enough to find the right one. Before we uncover what makes this coin so valuable, support our effort, subscribe, like, and share, so we can continue bringing you more incredible coin stories and help you spot the hidden treasures waiting in your change. Now let's step back to 1941, when the world was at war and the United States was on the brink of joining it. The San Francisco Mint, known for its S mint mark, struck over 43 million Jefferson nickels that year. But not all of them were created equal. The 1941 S is one of those fascinating coins where the smallest details make the biggest difference. The design, by Felix Schlag, shows a strong portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his beloved home, Monticello, on the reverse. The composition was still the traditional 75% copper and 25% nickel, as the silver war nickels didn't begin until 1942, but what collectors prize most about the 1941S is strike quality, especially the full steps on the reverse. If you flip over your 1941S nickel and look closely at the steps leading up to Monticello, you'll probably see they're a little soft or flat. That's because the San Francisco Mint's dies were overused and not always well maintained. But in extremely rare cases, the dies were fresh and struck perfectly, producing those elusive full steps FS examples. These coins are exceptionally scarce, and collectors pay huge money for them. A $1,000,000 graded MS67 full steps sold for nearly $8,000, while another graded MS67 Plus FS pushed past $15,000. The most pristine known example, a stunning MS68 full steps, reached an astonishing $28,750 at auction. A mind-blowing result for a coin most people would overlook in spare change. But that's not the only reason 1941S nickels can be valuable. There are also minting errors and varieties that make certain pieces stand out even more. Some coins were struck off-center, showing part of the blank plancher on the side. Others have die cracks, cuds, or lamination flaws, all signs of stress during the minting process. Depending on how dramatic the error is, values can range from $100 to $2,000 or more. There's also a rare double die variety, where the letters on Monticello or E pluribus unum appear slightly doubled under magnification. Even minor doubling can add hundreds to the value, while dramatic ones can reach $1,500 to $3,000. When grading comes into play, the 1941S becomes even more interesting. The PCGS and NGC grading systems place a huge premium on coins that are not only uncirculated, but also show strong luster and crisp detail. Coins graded MS65 to MS66 without full steps are worth around $60 to $300, while full steps examples in those same grades can jump to $1,000 to $3,500. Now let's talk about the historical side. The year 1941 marked the end of the pre-war composition for nickels. Just a year later, in 1942, The US Mint removed nickel from the alloy and replaced it with silver to conserve resources for the war effort. That means the 1941S represents one of the final issues made with the original metallic formula, making it a symbolic bridge between peace and war-era coinage. Collectors also appreciate that 1941S nickels have a certain charm. Many show light satiny surfaces, and some have a golden or blue tone from natural toning over time. These colors don't just look beautiful, they can also increase the coin's desirability and price when the toning is even and eye-catching. If you're hunting for this coin in your collection or change, here's what to look for. The S mint mark on the reverse, just to the right of Monticello. Sharp steps beneath Monticello, 5 or 6 distinct lines for full steps. Strong detail in Jefferson's hair, jawline, and cheek. Any signs of doubling, die cracks, or plancher flaws, bright luster, and minimal contact marks. Even circulated examples can fetch $10 to $50, especially with clean surfaces or mild toning. High-grade pieces without full steps can reach $150 to $400, while full steps coins, even in lower mint states, can leap into the thousands. So, the next time you come across a 1941 S Jefferson nickel, take a closer look. That tiny S mint mark and a few perfect steps could turn an ordinary coin into a high-value collectible. Every Jefferson nickel tells a story of American craftsmanship and history, and the 1941 stands as one of the most rewarding to discover. Keep searching, keep learning, and remember, the next 5-cent coin you find might just be your $28,000 surprise.